Good evening. This is the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting. Today is Wednesday, June 24th, and my name is Superintendent Joseph Hochreiter. I am joined in the district office boardroom with Enrique Catalan, as well as Anthony Marlini and Greg Cavalieri, our technology all-star, who's supporting us audio and visually and streaming this meeting live on our YouTube channel. And I will turn it over to our Board of Education President, Dr. Abraham.
Good evening, everybody. Can I have a motion to start the meeting, please?
So moved.
Seconded by Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, so let me just do roll call first for Carmen, our district clerk, so she knows who is in attendance. And we're going to do this in alphabetical order. Lisa Anderson?
Here.
Mary Pat Briggy?
Here.
Corey Notrica?
Here.
Bill Uricchio?
Present.
Barbara Pedersen?
Here.
Lori Ryan? She's absent this evening, and as you know, this is Carol Abraham. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as stated, please?
So moved.
Seconded by Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Is there anything anybody would like pulled from the consent agendas this evening? All right, then can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
So moved.
Seconded by Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. That brings us very quickly to our presentations and discussion. So we do have a discussion this evening on a resolution condemning racism and affirming a commitment to an inclusive school environment for all. If it's okay with the rest of you, I would like to read this whole statement, and then we can discuss it. So whereas members of the Hendrick Hudson School Board are aware of racial injustices that still persist in our country, whereas racism and hate have no place in our schools or our society, and we must protect the constitutional rights of every person who learns, works, and lives in our community, whereas we must listen. Those who have endured discrimination and intolerance deserve to be heard as they share the stories and truth about their experiences and feelings, and we must speak with great empathy to understand their challenges. Whereas we must learn. The school is in a unique position to facilitate meaningful and honest conversations about racial inequality and to work towards our shared conviction that racism must end. Whereas we must lead. We must actively acknowledge, address, and prevent racial bias that occurs as a result of policies, practices, and actions so that we can create a learning environment where every child is respected and valued for who they are, regardless of skin color. Therefore, be it resolved that we, trustees of the Hendrick Hudson School Board, stand fast in our commitment to foster an inclusive educational environment where every student, teacher, support professional, parent, and community member is treated with dignity and respect regardless of skin color. To that end, we encourage and support our district's participation in the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES newly formed Regional Equity and Diversity Steering Committee. Furthermore, we encourage the State Education Department to re-examine the state's learning standards with an eye towards inclusion. Does anybody have any comments?
Was this on the agenda, Carol?
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it. So the last part is saying that the last two sentences of what we're actually proposing. Could you reread that?
Yeah, so to the end, we encourage and support our district's participation in the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES newly formed Regional Equity and Diversity Steering Committee. And furthermore, we encourage the State Education Department to re-examine the state's learning standards with an eye towards inclusion.
Thank you.
like we're trying to bring that up on our live stream.
Yeah, it looks like we had a technical issue with getting it on board docs. I know I just spoke with Carmen. She's trying to add it.
Oh, okay. Because my printout from that I did earlier has it on there.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we have it's because we're down in the boardroom watching it live, and Carmen's upstairs. So there's some sort of system communication issue. So what we can do is, if everyone is okay with it, we can approve it. The resolution would then be part of the board minutes that the board would approve at the next meeting, and then the resolution would be sent to various agencies. Or now that it was read, we can save it and formally adopt it on July 8th. Either way.
Well, I'm fine with doing it tonight, but let me get some comments from the rest of the board.
I have no problem with adopting it tonight or, ratifying it.
I don't have a problem with that either. Just do it tonight.
I agree.
I think we have 5. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
My only concern is that I just like to be able to see things ahead of time to read them, but that was what my questioning was regarding.
Yeah.
But no problem with the context of it.
Yeah, there's position and action in there, which I think is great.
Okay, so Carol, if you just want to have someone make a motion, second it, and then we can, it sounds unanimous, we can just do a vote and we'll adopt the resolution and then make sure it's included in the minutes.
All right, that sounds good. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution, please?
So
moved.
Corey.
Barbara, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you very much. I think this is important to state, as we had discussed last time as well. That brings us to our Superintendents Report.
Okay, I've got a couple updates, and joining us is Anthony Merlini to give the community an update on our capital construction project. But just real quick, to the families, parents of our school district, we sent out a survey, a reentry planning survey, a couple weeks ago. That survey closes on the 26th of June. We'd like to thank everyone who participated, but also remind those that the survey is still live until the end of the day on Friday. This survey will just help us get an understanding for really what parents are thinking and what some considerations are on the parents' end in terms of transportation, in terms of older and younger siblings, those sort of situations. It's important that I underscore no decision has been made on what school will look like in September. The Board of Regents and the Governor's Office are working together to solicit input and feedback. They're also following current trends in terms of the virus and its community spread or spread throughout the region or the country. So that survey was just sent out to get some baseline information from parents. It's going to be one of many surveys we send out to seek input and feedback from our families. So that closes on Friday. Also, as that survey closes, we're going to send another one to our community and our parents around the Princeton Plan feasibility. This has come out of our Board of Education retreat each of the last number of years, which led to a cost analysis study. And earlier this winter, the board wanted to investigate the feasibility of implementing the Princeton Plan no sooner than September of 21. So that's in 15 months from now. We just finished a staff survey that was complete, and our team is going to review those results. We're reviewing them now, and we have a meeting on Monday morning to discuss next steps. And at that meeting, we're going to finish the community survey, and that will go out by Monday or Tuesday next week to get some input and feedback from parents around their their thoughts around potentially implementing the Princeton plan. So again, another opportunity for families to give input. We hope that as New York State, if New York State progresses through the different phases of reopening, we are hopeful that at some point this summer, although it may be late, that we could pull our steering committee together physically, certainly abiding by CDC and Department of Health guidelines, but it would be nice if we can pull our committee together at some point in the summer to review this data, as well as to get the committee engaged. The committee comprises of three distinct groups of people: parents, community leaders, and educators. So by collecting our survey data up front, we'll have some actionable items for that group to work with when we meet later in the summer. And lastly, we have celebrated and continue to celebrate all of our students who have finished kindergarten, who have moved up from 5th grade, who have moved up from 8th grade, and certainly the class of 2020 from the high school. All of the celebratory events have been widely publicized on our website and Facebook. Tonight, in fact, the 8th graders are moving up. They have a parade and some festivities at the middle school, and we'll also lead a car parade with students and staff throughout the parking lot at Blue Mountain Middle School, as well as Furnace Woods Elementary School. And just a reminder that our capstone event for the class of 2020 is July 19th. We will be in the town of Cortland train station. All of the details and specifics are on our website and social media as well. So while we had a really bizarre and unfortunate end to our school year, I want to give a lot of kudos to our staff and our parents who have helped support a whole number of initiatives to celebrate our students, and we appreciate their input and support. We also know that there have been other events that have taken place to celebrate our students, specifically ones regarding our high school seniors that were not endorsed or was not a district event. We wanted to let people know that. The district and the high schools received some emails and phone calls and messages about a weekend event that raised some concern for many parents and many community members. That was an event that was a parent event that the high school and the school district did not participate in planning or executing. So all of the official district events are on our social media platforms as well as our website. And with that, I'll get out of the way here, and Anthony Merlini will give everyone a quick rundown of our capital project status and all the activity taking place throughout the district.
Okay, like Joe said, I'm Anthony Merlini. I'm the Director of Facilities and Operations for the school district. And I just want to give you a little bit of an update what's going on with the bond projects, and then we can talk about it. With the maintenance building, the construction is progressing along well. The site was cleared of trees and rocks. Access road was cut in along with grading and leveling the construction site. New site drainage was installed and tied into the existing drainage. New retention pond was constructed for site drainage and tied into the existing storm line as the previous system was. The contractor drove steel piles into the ground to support the new foundation. Concrete footings have been poured on top of those new pilings. And the next step moving forward would be to start pouring the foundation walls. So that project is moving along pretty well. We're making some decent progress on it. For the security projects, we started out with asbestos abatement that was performed. We have to do that before we do demolition. Asbestos materials included some 9x9 floor tile and some mastic that holds the tile, and some pipe insulation. The main offices at the 3 elementary schools and middle schools have been, the demolition has proceeded in those areas for the new vestibules to be constructed. We've removed a lot of the doors in anticipation of the new configuration and the compartmentalization of the high school. And some other doors around the district in Buchanan River Plank have been removed to help facilitate that project as well. Moving on to the capital projects. Again, we had to do some asbestos abatement at Blue Mountain Middle School. to get ready for those projects. So we did some floor tile and pipe insulation in the science rooms, auditorium, and lower gymnasium and locker rooms. Pipe insulation is generally located behind walls and pipe chases or above ceilings, so you don't know sometimes where it is, and so we have to do a little bit of that first and some probing to find that before we can get into the demolition. Then the demolition took place in those areas, so the locker rooms in the middle school, the science rooms and the auditorium, the casework and seating, and a lot of those walls and things have been demolished, and they're getting ready for the new construction to take place in those areas. And then we've started some work on the exterior of Frank G. Lindsay to repair and replace worn brick lintels. So we had to do some bricks, some caulking, some new mortar, and also at the high school we're doing that same type of work in some select areas as well. For electrical work, we began to remove old lighting and switchgear at the high school, and then some other electrical components that needed to be removed to facilitate demolition work has also been completed throughout the district. Mechanical work, the mechanical contractors have been here at all the buildings doing some pre-demolition work. They've also been measuring areas in order to get ready to order new components and figure out the layouts of the ductwork. It's one thing to work off a drawing, it's another thing to actually see it in the field of where you're actually going to be installing these new components. Plumbing work is kind of like the same stage. We began work at all the buildings in the form of pre-demolition work. And measuring areas and getting ready to install somewhere down the road. Also, we're getting some kindergarten playgrounds at Furnace Woods and Frank G. Lindsay. So those two playgrounds for the kindergartens were removed, and we're scheduled for replacement sometime around the middle of July for those playgrounds. So that's kind of like what we've been doing. We meet regularly once a week on Tuesdays to meet with the contractors and construction managers and architect to review the project, get updated, and figure out where we're going to be in the next 2 weeks so we can schedule everything. There's a lot of players, a lot of components, a lot of moving parts. We're going to be moving around some electrical components. We have to take down electricity in certain areas, so where we have programs still going on in terms of food service, we still have data that we need throughout the district in terms of our internet access and our servers. So we just a lot of coordination going on to make sure all the trades are in the building at the same time and that we can progress in a good manner. And that's kind of where we are. Any questions? Or?
Hi, Anthony. Bill Oricchio here. Thank you very much for the update. Sounds like you got a lot going on, and that's wonderful. What about costs? Are we staying within projected budgets?
Yeah, so far we're in where we projected to be. We have contingencies built into the contracts themselves because of, like I said, sometimes we hit miscellaneous things like asbestos that we don't know that's there because it's encased inside of a wall or it's below an area that we couldn't access during the school year. So as we demolish things, we might come across things. So we have contingencies for those things. And we have contingencies for other little components or hiccups that we might come across for field conditions that we encounter during the way. So as of right now, we're looking pretty good and we're on target.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Lisa Anderson here. I was just wondering if you could kind of tell us a little bit more about timeline as to what the next steps are. Mm-hmm. Now the demolition is mostly completed in the areas. What can people be looking forward to seeing and maybe approximately when that might be happening?
Well, I mean, it's hard to see anything because a lot of it is, internal. So a lot of it's going on inside the building. So we're not really able to see too much from the outside looking in. But the next steps for everybody is to start coming in and start putting everything back together again. So laying out where the new walls will be going, laying out where the new ceilings will be going, and then start doing roughing in of the electric, roughing in of the plumbing, those types of things. Right now, the high school hasn't begun some of the demolition up there because we're waiting for a couple of things to settle down, like I said, up there before we can get into those buildings. And we had to also get a lot of furniture or equipment or things like that out of the way so we can get the contractors in there. But over the next 2 weeks, I expect things to ramp up even more, and we're going to get even busier as time goes on. In terms of completion, as of right now, the maintenance building, we're looking to complete that in the fall. We weren't looking to complete that by the end of the summer. We've always had in the back of our minds that we would be finishing that in October, November. For the security projects and the main vestibules and things like that, we were looking to be, back ready for September opening. And then for the capital projects, for the most part, we're looking for the same target date. But there are certain things in the capital project that are going to linger. So with the auditoriums, where we're looking for seating that has to go back into those two auditoriums, those are longer lead items. So they're going to be stretched out into the fall as well. So I have to work with the principals there just to, and I've already spoken to them already, give them the heads up so they know that in the beginning of the school year, those are going to be areas that are going to, linger.
Hey, Anthony, this is Corey. I just have two quick questions.
Sure.
So the first is for the auditorium. Have the teachers involved, like, Claire Carey, have they been involved in the design and how things are going and brought in to look over status and make sure it's meeting their requirements as it's going along?
Yes. So from the start of conception of the project, all the stakeholders have been involved. When it comes to either the auditoriums, the science rooms, the principals have been involved, and the teachers and Claire Carey alike.
Okay, great. And the second one is, I know there have been a lot of questions about the track and when it would be open to the public again. So it would be great if we could just give them a little timeline as to when to expect that would be available to the public.
Yep, that timeline is being communicated tomorrow. We're going to open the track on Saturday. The issue is the track is open and not the field, and we're going to have a hard time keeping people off the field. But we did add a state-of-the-art surveillance system, and we're going to need to use it. And in fact, we had some folks on the field who climbed the fence as recently as this weekend. And we're reviewing the footage, and we'll turn that over to the authorities. So, it's striking the right balance between a very significant multi-million-dollar community investment and providing access to that investment while also protecting the investment. So, a lot of school districts have struggled, especially with the virus and the different stages that we're in terms of reopening. But we wanted to be as consistent as possible with the town of Cortland, and they, just as recently as about a week ago, started opening up their fields and their playground and recreational facilities. So we're trying to be in line with that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony.
You're welcome.
Joe, did you have anything else before we move on to committee reports?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so committee reports. I don't think anybody had any committee reports, but in lieu of a committee report, I will just say that Lisa and I were able to participate in a webinar earlier today on budgeting in an uncertain fiscal environment. I thought it was very worthwhile, and it was presented by NYSBA. They are recording it, and it should be available for viewing probably later in the week if any of the rest of you are interested in viewing that as well. Lisa, did you want to make any comments about that before we move on?
I just really appreciated the ideas they had of how we need to be communicating our budgeting process and things that we can be looking at in determining our budgets. And making sure that as we look at things, we're doing it in a neutral way was a term that they used quite a bit. where you're relying on the facts and you're relying on the data to help drive the decisions that are going to need to be made with regard to our budgets. And it's going to be tricky in these uncertain times coming up. It was a very good presentation.
Yeah, I thought so too. A lot of good ideas, a lot of good ways of using data to inform our budget process, which we do a very good job of already, but it was just some new graphics, some new ways of presenting things to the public were in that discussion as well. So definitely found it worthwhile, and again, if any of you are interested in doing it later, it's about an hour long and should be available on the NISBA site sometime later in the week, they said. All right, so also in lieu of committee reports, I am going to take this time to congratulate Barbara Pedersen on her last meeting with us and to personally thank her very much for not only being my co-trustee and my president when I was vice president, but also my mentor and my good friend. And you are going to be sorely missed on the board. Lisa also has a statement for you from the Westchester Putnam School Board Association, and I'm sure that everybody here would like to say something as you are finishing your time with us here. So thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Carol.
So the statement from Westchester Putnam School Board Associations is that they would like to recognize the dedication and service of retiring Board of Education trustees, whose dedicated volunteer efforts have helped to shape the direction of your district and enhance the quality of education for all students. You have been able to cheer on graduates while working to improve the education of the many children still under your care. Your commitment to providing leadership and accountability has been instrumental in the effort to meet the needs of your community and prepare students for the future. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I would just like to echo what Carol had said as well, Barbara, that we're going to really miss you on the board. And I'm just so grateful for your time and efforts that you put into helping me to understand my role as a trustee when you were my mentor, and the leadership you've provided to our board and to our school district.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was definitely my pleasure.
So we have a gift for Barbara, and we're going to hang on to it for a little while in hopes that in short order that you will be here, and we will have a nice little socially distanced but appropriate gathering for you. Just like many of our celebrations, we're putting on pause until the time is more appropriate. This as well, but. You have been an incredible ambassador to this district, and this is the end of many, 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 many decades of service to thousands and thousands of students. You were a teacher at Frank G, among other places, and just have been such a great and dynamic ambassador of what public education is all about, a community member until next summer or this summer, and you will be missed, but we can always reach out to you, and we know that you'll be there for us. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara, I think you know how I feel. You know how I
know.
Feel. The two of us, it's like we're both fine, but for different reasons. So
it's true. I definitely know.
And I will never ever forget your phone number, or we'll be in touch, Barbara. Love you.
Thank you.
Hey, Barbara, it's Corey. I just wanted to thank you for all the guidance and, quick learning that I had to do in my first term. I couldn't have learned from a better person. And the way you kept me updated and walked me through some of the nuances and issues and all the things, I can't thank you enough. You will be sorely, sorely missed.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Corey. Well, I would just like to thank all of you so much for all of your compliments, and I I know how much time and effort all of you have put into this board, and because of all of your efforts, we have a phenomenal Board of Education, and I couldn't think of leaving at a better time because I'm leaving it in such wonderful hands, and I know you'll all do well, and I will be back. I will be visiting and keep in touch with all of you. So thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and the community has just, for the most part, been very, very welcoming. So I appreciate my time. I appreciate all of the hard work we've been able to accomplish. And as I said, we couldn't be left in better hands. We have an outstanding board and a wonderful superintendent. So wonderful people are working in Hendrick Hudson. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Again, I wish we could be all together to celebrate you the way you deserve to be celebrated. We're going to have to, as Joe said, put that on pause for a little while. But you better believe we're going to do it. Okay. All right, so that brings us to our audience comment section. Were there any audience comments submitted this evening?
There were not.
Okay. And then, hang on, I have to turn my page. Board comments or new business? Anybody have anything else before we go to executive session? All right, so can I get a motion to close the public portion of the meeting, please? And we are moving to executive session to discuss employee matters.
So moved.
Sorry. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?